Hi, this is Dr. Scott Young, and today we're going to get into a real interesting, kind of different topic than some of you are prepared for. I do have a lawyer that is going to work with me a little bit more on the Chevron Doctrine. But there's also this weird thing that's just happened more recently with the real estate crisis. Now, I have a friend of mine named Shay, and he's kind of given me some background information, and I want to kind of detail it out here so you guys have a clue what's happening. So this question that is coming up now, there's a massive problem in the real estate market, right? There's a there's this problem with no sales happening overall. If you go and look at your markets and you just do an MLS search, and you can do this on Zillow or any one of them, if you go above your target rate, so for instance, I'm making up a number. Let's say your average home sale price is 400,000 in your market, which is common for some of the bigger places like a Denver or a Dallas or something like that, right? What you want to do is go up to like $2 million. So a very significantly higher rate, kind of idea. Go through the different houses, and what you do is you click on those houses and you'll find that they're empty, 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 empty. It's really strange. Well, sometimes they'll put in fake furniture and fake stuff the AI did all the way in, but that's not. But I'm seeing some crazy stuff that's happening. These people, they couldn't afford this house. They're out of it right now. They're struggling to be able to handle this kind of thing. It's happening over and over again. So stuff is happening in the market in this particular kind of issue that occurs. Now, what we also have, and again, I'm not a real estate agent, I don't play one on TV, but we also have a weird thing with these commissions that have been changed. And this is part of that Chevron doctrine kind of thing. So I'm going to bring it up on screen here. So here's what happens. I want you to see this. Now you can actually see this on the NAR, the National Association of Realtors, and they're talking about a settlement that occurred. So there was and by the way, who always wins in these things are the lawyers. They're the ones that always win in this kind of thing. Okay. So first off, you have to know what it was about. Well, they were like really upset. Someone got really upset that commissions are too high. Now, on average, it's a 3% commission to, or here, I'm going to tell you the actual number is 3.2 to the seller of the house, or the person that, that the real estate agent who's selling that house for you. The buyer comes in and she gets 2.8%, right? So 3.2, 2.8, the seller gets 2.8, but the buyer has to actually fork over the whole 6%, right? So it's just so if you were just walking into a place, you've never had a house before, and you were, new home buyer, you don't have to pay anything out of pocket. The seller is actually doing that for you in that way. Okay. And so it's been a very consistent number. Now, there are places, I remember we did this in Denver when we had a house that was easy to sell. Long story, but we actually did kind of thing called help you sell. And they had a really like 1% plus, some particular small rate of like $750, right? You had to pay, the other real estate agents. Now, here, well, excuse me, they did the 2.8% for the buyer that's coming in, right? Because you're the seller, but there was a flat commission point. So you really were selling that house yourself. They just helped you put it on the MLS, right? And by the way, that still exists today. So, people can do that if they wanted to. But a couple of things that happens. First off, it's $2 billion, right? For liability. So they said they fought for all these members to release and get the right information, blah, 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 right? And they're trying to get the compensation, but the compensation firstly comes off the MLS. That's when you go to Zillow and you see the house. So now we don't know how much that price is. We're going to talk about that in a second. Okay. Here is another article, but this is very, very slanted. Now remember who's writing this. Bankrate is writing it. This is a bank company. And they're trying to tell you Could the real estate commissions have a price war? So home sellers are no longer will be responsible for paying for both parties, their own agent and the buying agent, right? Home buyers who want representation will have to pay their own agents separately, right? So the Consumer Federation of America expects the commissions ultimately fall be below 4%, maybe 3%, and meaning 3% for everything, right? And that's what they're predicting. Okay, so let's just look at this. Here's another interesting statement they have in here, right? That means the buyer is responsible for paying the agent directly. Some would be an average of $10,000 or based upon the 2.5% commission rate off a $400,000 house. Okay, that's fine. So we're trying, this is what they're telling you. We're trying to help you lower the commissions. Now, on average, they said the commissions are 5%, which should have been 20%. So you're having a deal. And I go, yeah, but is that really how it's going to work? That means we have to have really good negotiators with the real estate agents. Okay, let's back up a half a second. How does that settlement affect you? Same kind of rigmarole. They're telling you this gives the realtors an opportunity to provide the value, take a deep breath, talk to your broker, learn what the ruling says. Now, one of the things that they didn't really tell you in here is that you're going to have to actually sign an agreement with your real estate agent. Now, that actually is a good thing. Don't get me wrong. You should be signing an agent because here's what happens. I mean, people will make that one real estate agent do all the work. They don't like them. They move over to another one and they go, we want to look at these two houses. The person sees two houses and gets the whole commission out there, right? We should actually have a contract, okay? But what they're doing is it's saying, you're going to have to pay for this. I'm going to explain this here in a second. We talked about average home prices here a second ago, right? And I said that average home price is $412,000, but it's going down. Okay, well, that's good, right? So what happens is that according to the Federal Reserve, they're down by 14,000 from the previous quarter, 6,000 from the next quarter before that. So houses are reducing in price. But here's what you don't know in this circumstance. So I'm going to pull this off the screen for a second. So the NRA paid out how much? 400 million. And who won? It's always the lawyers. And by the way, who actually got that money? I mean, like, did I get any money from that kind of stuff? I mean, who actually gets that? They never like to tell you that one, right? Because, I mean, really, lawyers are going to get normally 35% of the case. But here's another statistics that was coming out by a friend of mine named Shay. 30% of the agents are getting out of the Oklahoma real estate market. Why? 2 reasons. Number one, they're probably going, I'm sick and tired of this thing. It is so difficult to sell a house and things are just going bad because you can't get financed. Here's a second potential reason, and this is starting to come up over and over again that you're not really hearing about. This is why when courts make obscure rulings that don't make any sense, and we haven't actually gamed this one out, here's what happens. If you can't put the 2.8%, that the seller is going to get, guess what the sellers won't do? So if the seller over here says, well, yeah, we're going to put you're going to make 2.5% or 2.8%. But over here, they can only do 1%. And you knew that up front on the MLS. You had a choice, right? I'm going to see this anyway because this is what I want to do. But when you can't see it, your real estate agent's going, I'm not even showing these ones. Why? Because he's not getting paid. He's going, I'm not getting paid more. Even if they come up with a statement of a standard rate, let's say they say $1,200 they make. You go, great. But here's what happens. They're not really interested in those commissions. Who does it really benefit? It benefits the big companies, the corporations. because what they want to do is get all of the independent agents out of there, and they just want to go to the big corporations who can afford this kind of thing, right? They're going to come up with an absolute number. This is what everyone has to do, and they've cornered the market because they screwed with you on the front end. And here's the second thing is that if you can't get that rate, then people don't show it, and then you can't even sell your place, and you don't even know why you can't sell your place. So they outlawed this system, and the agents can't show the circumstance. So here's the good part. The good part is real estate contracts should show up from the front end when you're buying or you're selling a house. That absolutely is a great thing, right? What's the bad thing? Now we have to have great negotiators on those real estate agents. They have to have amazing real estate, or excuse me, commission negotiations with you. So now they're going to hold your finger to the fire and rip it before they get that, because they're going to have to make sure they get the right amount of money out of it. And here's the killer one. This is going to mess you up because you haven't actually understood this one. Here's the ugly. Did you know that commissions now cannot be added to the home purchase? Let's talk about what things might happen. Let's just say, for an instance, just use the $500,000 house, right? Let's just say they all agreed on 5% commission, okay? So we have $25,000 between the two agents. Let's just say it was 2.5% to 2.5%. Let's just say someone came up with that number off of a $500,000 house. So $12,000, $12,500, $12,500 for each of the agents. Now, so that's one cost that you have to have in the buy and the sell. I mean, so you've got to take care of this. Number two cost are all those ridiculous closing costs that they always shove at you, and you don't have any choice in the matter, right? Title insurance and this insurance and that insurance, and then they have to get extra monies up front because the insurance has to be funded into, right? And all this crazy stuff. Plus, you also have new outlays because you got to set up your new electricity and your new water and all these other things. Since you got these massive outlays already in there. But you can take your mortgage fees, which are your closing rates. You can bake those into the price. Why? Because the banks go, we want to see, we want you to sell this property. We don't care about the real estate agent. We care about getting our fees. So we're going to get our fees so you can actually bake that into the whole mortgage. But if you can't bake the $12,500, that means you better come up with at least that amount of money on the front end. And what if that was all you had? Now you can't. Now you're in PMI ranges, which is payment on mortgage insurance, or you have, or you can't even buy the house because you didn't even know about it, and it kills the deals right at the contract signing. That means at the time that you close on the house. Like, what? This is going to blow up deals left and right. So they don't want to allow the commissions on this situation because they just made up a new rule. Someone had seen between the lines here. Is that not crazy? So let me ask you this. Let me throw out this one here. I want to bring this up here on the screen. Bring it back. Does the Chevron defense or the Chevron deference, or doctrine say anything about this? I would say yes, it does. Here's what's happening. We need to see these kinds of laws get thrown right back through the systems and say, wait a second, you just made an arbitrary decision and you really didn't look at all the capabilities of it. I just think we're going to see Chevron doctrine kind of jump in and mess with all of these idiots that start making up things that were good for the corporations, good for the NAR, good for the lawyers, but bad for the people because they can't afford coming up with $12,000 or whatever that number is, and they got to pay it in cash. They don't get to bake it into the mortgage in the past, right? Now I know we talk about from NISARA kind of stuff. We talk about this quite a bit that all the debts get wiped out. But if they've made these extra laws that are just super crazy and super ridiculous, what does that do to people? It messes people up. And this is the kind of stuff I just wanted to share with you so you have a clue of what's happening in here. Okay. I'm not, listen, do I have all that information? Do you disagree with it? Cool with me. I don't have a problem with that. But you need to know what's going on in the world, and you need to start realizing it because it's your money with that too. Okay? Hope it helps. Hope it gives you an idea, but I promise you this is part of the legal side of the NISARA stuff. Thanks so much.